2 that summons 2 1/1s. Like, okay, that's 3, 4 in stats. Cool. But, you know, it's not actually 1/1s, it's 2 1s because of the +1. And it affects mechs you already play. And when I was playing the Paladin deck, I was going turn 1 mech, turn 2 mech, turn 3 Skyclaw, and I was like, okay, well, the game is over. Because the Skyclaw is protected, your 1/1s are actually 2 1s. Skyclaw is really good. Number 14. Mind Flayer Karj. This is a card that seems like just better Shredder. Better Shredder for 1 less mana, sign me up. Seems like a great fit into an already existing deck of combo priests, so yeah. Number 13. Galakrond the Unbreakable. So the reason why Galakrond is this low is because I think that it's very close. Like, the word is think ultimately it's better, but I don't think that much better. So Galancon the Unbreakable is probably going to be the deck of choice if you're playing a Tempo Warrior, but I'm not 100% sure. Number 12. Malygos Aspect of Magic. Malygos Aspect of Magic is really, really powerful. I expect to see pretty much every page deck. 5 mana, 2/8. Get a really good card is a really good card. And not to mention, it has dragons guaranteed itself because Malygos himself is a dragon. Number 11. Galancon the Tempest. I actually think that one of the strongest decks in the world.
Oh yeah, she's fucked. 3, 2, 1. Oh, nice. Oh my god. Why is he not picking her up yet? Okay. Very good. God, that sucks. Good. Gotta get this inside. This is awesome. Thank God. Another broken key. How are we doing over here? Oh my God. Girl, why? Alright. One more. I don't think we have time for this. We did. Get her out. Okay, I guess we're not healing. Oh, fuck me. Hold on. Yes, this is a new killer. He is called the Oni. We're almost done. We have to finish this. Nice. Oh, there's one over here. Fuck. Alright, let's go, let's go, let's go. That is not the open one. Oh my God. Oh my God. You didn't see me. Alright, I guess you're dead. Yeah, she got fucked. I don't know what you meant. Kept grabbing her head. I don't know what you meant by that. I didn't see it. Go here, put this on, and put this on. Oh, yeah, that was a perk that the killer had. Whenever he downs someone, the person screams, so he knows where you are if you're hiding nearby, and so he searches out for you. And so that's why she was screaming. My character was screaming because he had that perk. Anytime you down someone. I think I want this one. Either one is fine. New killer's backstory. I haven't actually looked into it. Oh yeah, actually. It was, what was it? I'll just look at it right now. I haven't really looked at him very much. I've only played against him, I haven't played as him. Honoring his family name was never enough for Kazan Yomaka. He wanted to surpass his father's reputation in what he saw as a thinning of the samurai culture of farmers often posing as samurai. His father tried to turn Kazan's attention to more noble pursuits, but Kazan refused to heed his advice and borrowing his father's katana, he embarked on a dark pilgrimage to prove his worth and rid Japan of imposters. Ignoring the code that had been taught to him, Kazan killed imposters in the hills, in the valleys, on the beaches, and in the woodlands. The killings were brutal, cruel, and morbid. He humiliated farmers and warriors alike, yanking off their top knots and stripping them of their armor. His rage, bloodlust, and perverse sense of honor knew no bounds. Monks believed he was possessed by something dark and otherworldly, and cursed him, while a noble lord began to call him Oni Yamaka, the rageful samurai, an insult both to Kazan and his family. Oh god, this is a long-ass story. Holy shit. Where was I? Oh yeah. Determined to redeem his family's name, Kazan now butchered anyone who dared call him Oni Yamaka. It's funny. The insult confused him. He had defeated the best, and he had purified the samurai class by ridding the land of impostors. How could anyone refer to him as an ogre? Had it been because he had marched onto a battlefield to cut down the furious warriors? Had it been because he had taken a kanabo and dashed hundreds of skulls with it? Or it had been because of his need to secure a trophy from his victims? It didn't matter. Being called an ogre was more than he could bear, and an ominous voice in his head urged him to strike down the lord who had desecrated his name. So the entity started fucking with his mind. As Kazan made for the lord's town, he suddenly found himself face to face with a samurai standing on a dirt road blocking his way. Kazan readied this kanabo. Without a word, the samurai had attacked and quickly secured the upper hand, but he hesitated. With a devastating blow, Kazan crushed the samurai's head and cracked his helmet. As Kazan approached the fallen samurai, he saw his father's face and staggered back to his haunches. His father stared at Kazan with mingled shame and regret as he issued his last breath. Kazan closed his eyes and screamed in agony until he could scream no more. When he opened his eyes again, his father was gone. Not only had he killed his father, but he had allowed thieves to steal his body for armor. Bitter, lost, and delusioned, Kazan roamed the land aimlessly with his father's voice rattling in his head, taunting him, reminding him of his failure, sending him to fits of uncontrollable black rage. One day, walking in the woods, Kazan happened upon an Oni statue. He stopped and stood motionless for a long moment. The weathered and overgrown statue seemed to be ridiculing him, accusing him of being the imposter samurai he had so desperately sought to destroy. Kazan shook the laughing voice out of his head and half remembered the lord who had ridiculed him as Oni Yamaka. With renewed anger, Kazan journeyed to a town high up in the snowy mountains where the lord resided. A dozen samurai met Kazan at the gates of the town. A dozen samurai fell to his kanabo. His speed and strength were unmatched. His rage was incomprehensible. Covered in blood and gore, Kazan battled through the town and soon found the lord hiding in a villa. He dragged him out of a cabinet. Oh. He grabbed him out of a cabinet, sliced his tendons to immobilize him, and watched him beg and squirm like a dog. Without hesitation, he thrust his fist into the lord's mouth, yanked out his wicked tongue that had desecrated his name. Satisfied, Kazan exited the villa to find himself surrounded by dozens of farmers wielding rusted scythes. I'm sorry, it only ends badly. Surrounded by dozens of farmers who had rusted scythes, sharp pitchforks, and heavy clubs, he survived the first few assaults, but there were too many attackers coming from every direction. Oh, actually going well for the farmers. Within a moments, Kazan was on the ground, staring at a cold, indifferent, darkening sky as farmers took turns stabbing and torturing the Oni who had butchered their beloved lord. Wow, they actually won. The frenzied mob dragged Kazan into a small stone mill to continue the torture and finally left him to die a slow, agonizing death. When they returned, the mill was filled with a strange black fog, and Kazan's body and the Kanabo were nowhere to be found. It was the beginning of a dark legend about a rageful Oni haunting the town. So the entity took him before he died. That is one hell of a backstory. That is the longest backstory they've ever made for a killer. 100%. I think the second longest was like the clowns. Let me check for a second. I haven't even read the Demogorgon's backstory, but I mean, everyone knows, whatever the hell his name is. I'm just checking the length. Okay, this one's kind of long, but it's not as long as the Oni's. That is literally not a backstory. But yeah, that is the longest backstory I've ever seen. I mean, Demogorgon's nothing, cause you know Stranger Things, but I haven't really looked into Stranger Things much. I don't know anything about Stranger Things. A blooming mouth full of needle-like teeth for a face, large curved razor-sharp claws, and powerful legs to bounce on victims make the Demogorgon a frightening monster to face in any dimension. It is a nightmare of unrestrained feral rage that it hunts down its prey and rips it to pieces, devouring every last morsel of flesh and gore, leaving nothing for scavengers. The creature is untouched by any sense of compassion or restraint. Looming over its victims, it shows no doubt or mercy, just the pure instinct of its insatiable bloodlust, as it delivers the death blow. A perfect hunter, the Demogorgon is a macabre testament to the horrors lurking in the Upside Down, and why it was choice pickings for the entity. And then you know Ghostface, I think, from... I don't remember what it's called. I don't feel like reading much anymore. But basically, he was a newspaper writer. No. He's a serial killer. Everyone knows he's a serial killer named Danny Johnson, and he goes place to place being a serial killer. He disguises himself, gets a new name, joins a newspaper business. Everyone notices how attractive he is, and like, but has a quiet life. But yeah, he basically, what he does is, he uses his the newspaper business that hired him as a cover-up, and he does stories on his own murders, basically. Like, he's Peter Parker, but evil. That's the best way I can explain it, without reading all of this. So yeah, he's Peter Parker without, but evil. And then when they're close to finding him out, he moves to another place and does the same thing over again. And then moves to another place and does the same thing over again. Because he's a really good serial killer. Let me try playing killer. I haven't played killer in a long time. Let me level this guy up a little bit. I need to read this guy's, what his, abilities do. I forgot what it's called. Who is that before Ghostface? The Plague. pretty sure you've seen that one already, but that's my favorite killer. I'm pretty... The Plague is my favorite killer. I just haven't played her in a little bit. Give me a second then. I want to finish this first. I think I can make it to 25. I might not be able to make it at 25. I'll try though. Ooh, Hexer. As an instant put on. Yeah, we made it to 25. It's not useful. I will go for this. Okay, that's enough. Make your choice, buddy. Take this off. You can put this on. Probably take this off and put this on. What does this do? While Blood Fury is active, missing a demon strike will cause all survivors within a 12-meter radius to scream and reveal their current location to you. Considerably increases movement speed of Demon Dash while Blood Fury is active. Considerably increases the duration of Blood Fury. Moderately increases the amount dropped. Moderately decreases consumption penalty of Blood Fury when downing a survivor. Moderately increases movement speed of Demon Dash. Moderately increases passive recharge rate. The brown one slightly increases the distance can be detected. Slightly increases absorption speed. Slightly increases activation charge rate. Okay. I understand a little bit now. So okay. some reason I thought this was Saturday. I'll just read this to you then. This is a long one. When she was 5 years old, Adiris, the youngest of a family of 7, was left on the brick-red, burning steps of the Temple of Purgation at the center of Babylon to process her shock and sorrow. She held on to the belief that the gods had a plan for her. Her new life was one of a quiet servitude. She would tend to the gardens, prepare ceremonial meals, and polish ceremonial incense burners at night. She would pray for a sign that would reveal her purpose. When she came of age, she attended the high-ranking priests during the yearly worshipping of the sea goat. Okay, the god of water and creation, swinging a censer down the great hypostyle hall. She cast thick black fumes that reached the cold, towering stone pillars before dissipating. Her worries lifted, and the resulting bliss made her feel closer to the gods than ever. She worked herself to the bone each day that followed, fulfilling her duties while taking on new ones. As she aided the priests during purification rituals, the priests were more and more in need of assistance. Cleansings were being performed daily to answer the demand from outside the high temple walls, where catastrophic plague had resurfaced. Within months, the priests contacted the disease. It did not take long before they became too weak to perform any kind of ritual. Adiris, having assisted many purification rituals, was the only one able to carry on. The swelling panic had to be contained even by a novice. Anxious before her first ceremony, Adiris visited the priest's sanctuary chamber. When she lit the candles, she noticed a narrow opening at the back. Sliding through the gap, she reached the crypt hidden under the sanctuary. The chamber was bare except for the golden statue of a woman who stood with outstretched hands, her fingers covered in jewels. It was the sign Adiris had been waiting for. The great hall was packed with followers who bowed down as Adiris entered. She strode to the brick altar and grabbed a ceremonial dagger forged in silver, her ruby-ringed fingers wrapping around the blade like claws. The sudden display of luxury intrigued the followers, who were struck already by her youth and beauty. As she began reciting the epic of creation, a woman at the back swooned and collapsed. Adiris rushed to her and noticed the black blisters covering her feet. Without hesitation, Adiris grabbed her sacred blade and swung it at her own foot, severing a toe. Then she offered the bloody part to the gods, asking them to protect the woman. Silence fell over the followers, who revered Adiris as their new priestess. Tales of her wealth, beauty, and devotion began to spread across the city as quickly as the disease. Soon Adiris' followers called her the High Priestess of Babylon. But her faith was tried when she showed the first signs of infection. Her cough became a mix of whatever and blood. Her neck erupted in abscesses, and her toed foot darkened. Ashamed of her condition, she began wearing a veiled headpiece and carried a censer that masked the rancid smell of sick that clung to her skin. Hoping to be saved, she kept performing the rituals, offering blessed water and food to her followers, but no ritual could save her. In a desperate attempt to appease the gods, Adiris banished herself from the city. She traveled north with a few followers, venturing through the cold woodlands of Arshtu. Until it was no longer possible to walk, they camped in a damp cave where Adiris lay in a pool of vomit. Her foot, which had turned black, was so swollen she could not go any further. Her followers and she realized the truth. In that cave, they were all infected with the plague. No shit. Actually, no shit. Kneeling among her retching followers, Adiris made one last prayer. The black fumes of incense rose into the damp air before being wiped off by a cold breeze. Neither the body of Adiris nor her followers were ever found. Many told tales of her return, but no one truly knew what the fate had befallen the High Priestess of Babylon. So yeah, she was a girl who had a lot of faith in the gods, and where the fuck was it? Had a lot of faith in the gods. One day she took someone's place, contacted the plague, and that's it. That's it for her. But she is like one of my favorite killers, even though her backstory is awful. Her power is just amazing, I would say. People crap on it a lot, but if you use it correctly, like, she can absolutely destroy a game. Just constantly making people sick. And then destroying her with them with your ability to vomit on people. Her power, it's a very hard explanation, but I'm gonna try to simplify it as best as possible. She goes around the map making people sick. She vomits on them. That is her main power. Where is her? So don't even like read that. Basically, she vomits on people. The more the survivors get sick, how do I explain this? She can make anything that you come in contact with diseased. So if you touch that thing, a locker, a generator, anything that she vomits on, a pallet, you get sick. If you get sick enough, you become, what do you call it, broken. When you're broken, you cannot be healed, and you cannot be healed, and you are one health state away from dying. The only way to be healed is if you cleanse yourself in a pool of water for like 5 seconds, then you become healthy again. But if you do cleanse yourself in that pool of water, she gets an extra ability which is called Corrupt Purge. Corrupt Purge is a more devastating puke attack that she has, and it basically instantly downs you if she hits you with it. So you're just constantly making people sick. Survivors have to heal themselves through the pools. You get your corruption ability. You down them in one hit. You make them sick again. You go around the map, making them sick again. It's just survivors are always busy with her, and you're almost always sick in the meantime, so you're always making her more powerful when you're cleansing yourself, or healing yourself back to full again. It doesn't matter. It basically doesn't matter what you do. You are playing into her hands. If you don't heal yourself with the pool of water, then you stay broken the entire game, and you're one shot anyways. If you cleanse yourself with the pool of water, she gets her one shot ability, and she one shots you anyways. If you remain sick the entire game, and she has slowdown perks like Thanatophobia that makes it so that if you're hurt, uh, like for so and so time, generators just don't get done because Thanatophobia is just too strong. So like her power like is ridiculously strong. She's one of my favorite killers by far. I don't a lot of people don't like her though, just because they say that she's too weak because it relies on her power too much, but I say that she is super strong because her power, uh, you you have to make it so that they play around you rather than, how do I say this? They play around you rather than you play around them. So if they don't, as I said before, if they decide to not heal with your pool of water, they are one shot. It doesn't matter. If they decide to heal with the pool of water, then they are one shot. It's just how it goes. Like, it doesn't matter what you do against her. You're going to have a bad time if you play again. I mean, if I play with her, then people are gonna have a bad time. If other people play with her, apparently she gets countered a lot. I don't know. I rarely ever. I don't think I've ever lost with this killer. I'm not even kidding. She's just that strong for me, anyways. I haven't played Oni yet. I played like one game with Demigorgon. It was actually kind of hard because he's kind of weak. Ghostface, I just hate him in general. I don't like playing killers that I hate in game. Like Hag, I don't play like Hag anymore because I hate her. Ghostface, I just hate I hate him. No problem. Have a good night.
Look who's shitting in the tall grass.